All right, fine. I'll just get it started. It's okay if it's serious. What time is it?
9:59.
Yeah.
Got an hour.
Content is content.
What?
Content is content.
Okay. As long as the quality is good, it doesn't matter how long it is.
Yeah.
So, what do you have to say? Wait, hello. Okay.
Okay. Mine works.
Yeah. I was just making sure that both the tracks are different and they weren't recording the same mic.
Yeah.
Which they are. So.
Okay. So recently, I've been focusing on being less stimulated all the time, meaning when I'm eating, don't make an excuse to go check something on your phone, or when you're in the car, you don't need music. And as a product of that, I've noticed that more thinking is going on. Thinking about just anything, really. So a lot more thinking has been going on for me. But sometimes you get so deep in thought at those times that it carries over when you are doing something that requires your attention. So
Doing something like what?
let's
Like
say
anything else, like homework or something?
Yeah. So when you're doing homework, you start thinking about what you were previously thinking about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like your thoughts don't end. There's no beginning and an end to your thoughts, and you just carry them over.
Yeah, you just carry them over. Except it's what I've discerned is that it's definitely not a good thing. It's not a good thing because so if you're doing something like homework, it requires your attention. So that thinking that you're doing, I think you should only be doing it at a time when you're not doing anything else. There should be a blocked out time for you to think about whatever you want. Let your mind wander. But when you are doing something that requires your attention, you should block out any thoughts.
Yeah.
You should only be thinking about the thing that you're doing.
I feel like in day-to-day life, you shouldn't even think about things at all. You should just stay present. You should be focused on the present moment.
Yeah, you should only be
doing.
thinking about whatever you're doing.
And maybe you can dedicate a certain amount of your time. Because I don't think the way to confront it is to stimulate your thoughts more.
Yeah.
By going on TikTok or whatever.
I think that's what most people are doing. That are nowadays, at least.
Yeah. And once you stop doing all of that stuff, you notice how much free time you have.
Yeah. But it's like your mind becomes overfilled because you haven't thought about anything in so long.
Yeah. Well, then it's the fact of you just have to sort out all your thoughts.
Yeah,
You know?
but I think
Okay, for me, I don't really have that problem because I don't really go on social media much anymore.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I would just, if I'm just chilling by myself, doing nothing, then I can think about things. But if I'm doing something else,
Yeah, if you're sitting in your room and you're doing absolutely nothing.
yeah, if I'm doing something else and I need to focus on that thing, it's almost instinct at this point, to where my thoughts just go away naturally, and then I'll return.
Yeah.
They call it a flow state.
Yeah.
But I'm just focusing purely on what I'm doing. And this happens even when I'm going out for a run. To the point where I'm almost on autopilot. And I know that when I get to that corner, I'll turn around. And then it's like time skips forward almost, and I'm already at the end of that corner. Has that ever happened to you? And I think, what just happened?
Yeah, I mean
my brain is just on
that's
autopilot the
running.
whole
Yeah,
time.
you're only focused on running, and that's because you're.
Yeah, but even when I'm
Well, I think it's pretty easy to do. Even when it came up, for the first time, I just said don't think about other things, and it's just like that. You just stop thinking about other things.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that difficult to do.
Okay, but you were talking about how it's something that can happen for some people, especially some people that have just started removing themselves from all these distractions.
No, I think even once even if you're just starting to remove yourself from those kind of distractions, it's a pretty easy thing to do. I was just pointing out that it is something that happens. It's a mental shift that occurs.
You're too deep of a thinker.
It's a mental
compared to the normal people, the plebs
no,
like us.
no. I'm saying it's a mental shift that occurs. when you put away those distractions. I'm not saying all I'm saying is it's not a hard thing to do. It's just something that does happen.
That's true. I mean, I'm thinking back to people like my grandparents, and they just all they do is in their free time they just sit around all day. Or they go with some of their friends, just lounge around.
Yeah.
And when I went to see them, the last time I went to see them, before this time, so in 2022 when I went to see them, I was kind of surprised at how they just had nothing to do. They were just sitting there and they didn't do anything, and they seemed to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw two of my friends' grandparents in this village in India, and they were just lying on their hammocks and just talking, and they're doing that the whole day long. And I was thinking, how on earth do they even have the capacity to handle that much boredom? But for them, it's not really boredom, you know. And I've heard to that extent that the best hack to procrastination is just one is to do the thing that you're supposed to do for 5 minutes, and you'll probably end up finishing it, which is what we talked about in a previous video. But the second one is that make your breaks as boring as possible. Because if you're studying for something, let's say, and your breaks are, you go on your phone and you start scrolling. Then once you get back to studying, since you were so stimulated from your social media, whatever you're doing on your phone, there's so much less. You have the studying feels so much more boring. Because the dopamine resets like that. Your level falls of dopamine that you're experiencing. And I mean, obviously, dopamine is a chemical that makes you feel good, the biological chemical that makes you feel good. But if you make your breaks really boring, like if you just stare at a wall for 5 minutes, once you get back to homework, you think, great, let's go. I'm doing something at least. And I feel like that's how it is for a lot of people. I feel like these days I can kind of just sit by myself and I'm fine with staring 5 minutes at a wall. But a lot of people can't. A lot of people can't handle that, and I couldn't handle that when I first started.
Yeah, I've always been more of like I used to literally just sit on my couch and do nothing. But I think that's just kind of how I don't know. I just grew up a lot like that, just doing a lot of nothing. I mean, when I'm not doing something, I wasn't on my iPad or something. It was just sitting in the living room with my family, and then a lot of times, we wouldn't even be talking the whole time. So I think because of that, I've always been fine with that. But I don't know. My mom used to call me lazy for it, just because I could just, other kids, they wouldn't, or not other kids, but I'm saying I don't think it's something rare. I'd say maybe it's like 50-50 in the population as far as I've seen. But my sister, she needs to always be doing something. And me, I can just sit around and do nothing. But I don't know.
You don't know what?
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know how I guess prevalent that is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I don't know the stats.
Because I know a lot of the people that I grew up with are also like that. Like
Well, they can just sit around and do nothing.
They can just sit around and do nothing. But
yeah, I don't know if it depends. I feel like it's a good trait in some situations, but in other situations it's not. Because then there's no incentive for you to get to work.
Yeah.
Because if you enjoy that break so much, it's like, what's the incentive for you to get back to work?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then at that point, there's really nothing you can do.
What?
Like it's very hard to find a dopamine baseline lower than just staring at a wall.
Yeah, that's why I don't think you should use that kind of like dopamine whatever as a. I mean, sure, it can initially help you, but I don't know how long lasting it is to use dopamine as to mess around with your dopamine system to try to get yourself to do work. I think you just have to find something.
A system.
I think you have to find something greater, like a purpose. Like you have to find that you shouldn't use dopamine as your motivation. Dopamine is just a chemical in your brain. You shouldn't be messing around with that. I think you should, for a long-lasting hack to procrastination, you should find something, greater or deeper then that'll get you to work. And I see this even with so many kids that our age, and they're no different than us, meaning they still use Instagram, they still use TikTok, but these kids are high achieving academically because the reason they're able to put down their phone for TikTok is because they need to do well on this test. That's their motivation. So I think and their motivation is, if I don't do well on this test, then my grade goes down. If my grade goes down, my chances of college go down. College is my entire future. So you need to I think if you're able to find something greater than like why I need to do this, whatever it is, but you're procrastinating, there's a reason why I need to do this, then I think that's the best procrastination hack.
That's where the idea of discipline comes
The
from.
long-lasting
Where
procrastination
you do the thing despite how you feel about it.
Yeah, because
so if you like, I remember I heard Alex Hormozy say this once, and he was talking about how when you're planning out a presentation, don't anticipate that everything is going to be, insanely well. Even if you wake up sick the next morning, you have to still hit that presentation. You have to still hit the notes that's required of you.
Yeah. And even if you're thinking about why it needs to be done, I think one of the best ways I've reasoned it with myself is that whatever the result of this is, whatever you're procrastinating, let's use an example. Let's say you're procrastinating your homework that needs to be done, and I'm just saying this is for some people. I'm not saying I agree with this, but let's say you're procrastinating your homework, and you know that your homework is important for your grades, and your grades is important for college, whatever, your future. Okay, let's just call it your future. You know that doing this homework is important for your future. The feeling, whatever result that produces, a successful career, the feeling that a successful career will have for you is long lasting. It's going to last you throughout your life. But the feeling that watching a movie is going to last for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's instant gratification versus delayed gratification. We were talking about this in our first episode as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying even if you're thinking about it feeling purely, you just want to feel good, right? It's like you just want a good. If you think about it like that, or someone who would say, why would I want to do this in the long term? Or why would I want to do all this when I can just get the same feeling from watching an iPad or watching a movie? That feeling is short term, but the feeling you get from that is long term. It lasts forever. This lasts for an hour and a half. That's how I'd reason it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, even that has something to do with dopamine as well. We talked about this in the first episode, but I'll reiterate it because our first episode is,
yeah, yeah.
But the thing about the dopamine baseline is just how good you feel normally without anything. And what happens is whenever you do something, an instant gratification activity, like let's say watching a movie or scrolling on social media or even, I don't know, doing drugs, all right? Your dopamine baseline is here, and then the level of dopamine that you have in your body, it goes up like this while you're doing the thing. So if you're taking a drug or you're watching a movie or you're doing whatever, it's up to here. But then as soon as the movie ends, it drops down and it keeps going down and down. So if this is your baseline before, the new baseline is slightly below. So now on a normal basis, you feel slightly worse than you did before you watched the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at something like working out, for example, or doing an activity that's beneficial for your future. Like let's say you wanted to make a website for your business, something like that. All right, when you do that activity, because you see it as a boring thing or a hard thing or something that you don't like to do. Like let's say your homework for studying for a test, for example, to make it relatable to students. You'd go, if you don't like doing your homework, which most people don't, your dopamine baseline would go like this. Or not your baseline, but the level of dopamine in your body would go like this. So you'd feel slightly worse while doing it, but then afterwards the level raises up to this, and the new baseline is set slightly above where your old baseline was. So now in the long term, you feel better than you did before.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about this the other day, but this is in a scenario. Remember in WALL-E when those guys, or in WALL-E when all those guys are just.
Every time I think of Wally, I just think of those obese people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those obese people just playing or just doing whatever they want in their virtual world. Are those people? I don't know. If you could virtually stimulate yourself as perfectly as you wanted it, right? Let's say you make yourself a billionaire. You have, supermodel wife. You have whatever car you want. You have all those things, and you could virtually stimulate it perfectly, as it is to the real world. Would that be the same as having it in real life? And I feel like it can't, no matter how good of a virtual reality system you make, it just can't be as good as real life.
Okay.
I feel like there's something special about our world and us as humans that it's just better in real life.
Let me bring up the question then. If it was perfect, let's say you're
infinitely, it's been improved infinitely to where it's,
it's completely perfect.
And
everything that you have, or everything that you want ever will happen.
Logically, there should be no difference between that virtual reality set
and real world
and the real world.
Okay. Yeah. Would you do it?
No, not would you do it. I'm asking, is it really the same? If our science proves that it's the same, is it still the same? There has to be a difference in experiencing it in real life and experiencing it in virtual reality. A scientist would argue that it's just about the feeling it produces in your brain, and it would be the exact same. But I think there's something to it in real life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
That having all that in real life that you just can't get through.
Okay, not even real life, but I remember I played this game a long time ago, back in the olden days.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of that game, the villain of that game, he changed. It was a single player game, and he changed.
Just drop the game name.
No.
Why?
But he changed reality to where everyone got everything that they wanted.
Okay.
And he had no part in that.
Mm-hmm.
Or he did that, and then he was just chilling,
Mm-hmm.
because his motivation was that he lost everything that he wanted. Like his wife got amnesia and forgot about him,
Mm-hmm.
and then like a bunch of other stuff happened to him. Like
I
he lost
dropped
his
the
career.
name, bro.
I'll tell you after. But
Okay.
at the end, the main characters are like, it's not the same. Even if you change reality to where you get everything you wanted, it's not the same. At all.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But there's no reason or logic that we can use to explain that.
Yeah.
It's just something that you feel inside.
Yeah. I
The
think
intuition.
I thought the same. Yeah.
So if you could take that option, would you? Was the question that I asked. And I mean, based off your answer, it looks like no.
No, I wouldn't take it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd enjoy the hard work that comes with getting what I want anyway.
Yeah. I just
like
think the
if you just
feeling
had-
has to be greater in real life, bro.
The feeling has to be greater in real life. Even if the feeling is the same. The things associated with getting that, the hard work and all, that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed,
Yeah.
you're not gonna remember the times when you had all this stuff.
Yeah.
You're gonna remember the work that you put in to get you there.
Yeah. And also, I think it just inherently can't feel good. Having all that with no work.
Yeah, but if you don't know that it's fake,
What?
if you can't discern between reality and
I think you could. I think you always could. I think you always could. I think.
Like, okay, let me give you an example, a smaller example. There was this kid there, one of the kids in the game. He was this insane track dude, and he was so good at track, but he had a fatal injury on his leg that he couldn't run anymore, and he just wanted to do track so bad. But in that reality, he could do track, and he could become the next big track guy.
So what's the question? So what's the question?
I guess it doesn't even have to be the hard work. It could just be something that you're unable to achieve anymore, but you still wanted to.
Achieve it in a virtual world.
It's not.
It's
That
not
world
virtual.
wasn't virtual.
It's
though.
reality.
That was real. It's the reality.
Oh, that's different. I don't know. That is a little bit different. But even if that happens, I don't know. I just think it was meant to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if I had everything I wanted without working for it, at least, it wouldn't feel good. There's just something about it that wouldn't feel good.
Okay, I'd contend with
It
you.
wouldn't feel the same.
I would. It's not about having the things. I feel like the process itself is where I'd get most of my enjoyment from. I
Yeah,
don't even care about having the things.
Andrew Tate was saying this about being rich, but he was saying being rich is only fun when you were broke before. And he was saying these Middle Eastern oil billionaires, he was saying it's no fun for them because they were born into it. But he's saying being rich is so fun for him because he was so broke. He
Yeah.
started out so broke. He can, when he goes to a restaurant, he can order four dishes, and he was just
Yeah,
never able to do that.
Before he could never do that.
Yeah, so it feels so good.
Yeah, I feel like I'd agree with that. That's why you see the majority of millionaires are self-made,
Yeah,
and then you see, everybody else, all the children, the
Mhm.
inheritance,
yeah,
and they're content with living in a upper middle class life.
yeah.
The kids of rich people,
I think
because it's something that you're born into. It's not something that you have. I think when I have a kid, I'm gonna train him to. I'll just take away all the money. Like we won't. My children won't know that I'm rich.
Yeah, I think you can still. I've seen a lot of people who are, they're like that. Their parents are self-made millionaires, and their children are. Their children are still happy. I don't think they're.
It's not that they're unhappy or happy. They just don't see money as a goal because they already have it. Or
Yeah,
they have already had it growing up.
yeah. I think it's fine to an extent as long as they know that they have to maintain that wealth. Okay, there's a difference between, I think if you grow up, even if you take the Saudi billionaire example, and you raise your kid in a way such that he doesn't care about, like he doesn't view materials as happiness, right? He doesn't associate materialism with happiness. Then I think that kid will grow up and be just fine. The issue is when you associate materialism with happiness and then you're given everything from birth and now you have nothing more to get. I think that's when you have an unhappy, child, the unhappy, whatever you call it, spoiled brat child.
Brat.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
if you raise your kid well, even if you're rich, he doesn't necessarily have to be a hard worker, or he doesn't necessarily have to be, like you. Let's say he gets everything he wants as a kid, but you still raise him well, you still raise that child well, they'll go on to live a happy life.
Yeah, I agree, but I think what I'll do to raise because I want my children to be better than me. I don't want them to settle for the same level as me. I want my children to be the man or the woman, the huge dude.
I don't know. I kind of think that
It's like Alexander the Great's dad and Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great's dad built up everything from the ground up. With an Alexander the Great, he took what he had and he expanded it even further. But he wasn't born into unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
He was born into good circumstances and he built upon what his father provided for him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think that's the right way to approach it rather than take everything away from your child and let them build from scratch. I think there's a reason you got to where you are now.
No, I know, but I'm saying when they're growing up, when they're children, I won't use my money.
Oh, so then they can later build upon
Yeah.
whatever you have. Yeah.
And it's not from the perspective of saving. I just don't want them to be around that kind of lifestyle when they're young,
Yeah.
where they get everything they wanted.
Yeah.
I feel like I should teach them to work for what they wanted.
Yeah, because to build something greater, they need to have.
They need to work.
Yeah, they need to work.
Like if they ask for a chocolate, I'll say, okay, go, run 100 meters or something.
Okay, that's evil, bruh.
Or I don't know, what do they want? Or what my child want? I'd raise my child to want something good. If I wanted,
You say all this, but it's not as easy
No,
as
I'll
you
do
think.
I'll do it. It's not an easy thing to do, but I'll do it.
Yeah. My dad
Even if
said.
my child hates me. I listened to this podcast with Khabib once, and he's saying that he hated his dad until he was 14, and then he started to understand why his dad is so strict.
Yeah. But.
And look at him now. He's a
Yeah,
great
there you
dude.
go. But my dad said, however much you trouble your dad when you're a kid, you're gonna get twice that as a parent.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yeah,
That's fine.
So it'll be even
It's
harder.
for the long term. Delayed gratification.
It'll be even harder for you to raise your child than it was for your dad to
Yeah,
raise
probably.
you. Yeah. It's hard, man.
But I'd make my kid a legend.
I can understand it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard.
It's gonna be a full-time job
What?
if you want whatever you're saying.
Yeah, that's fine. Then I'll make all the money beforehand.
Or you need a wife who matches exactly with your ideals,
Yeah. Well,
which is also impossible to
yeah,
find.
it is definitely not. But it's fine. I'll figure it out. There's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oh man, what were we talking about before? The children?
Dopamine.
No, and then we talked about something after. We talked about
The Wally.
oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, okay, when you said that your grandma just sits around most of the day, I was thinking about what our ancient ancestors did. I'm talking about,
Like while they ran around the fire.
hunter gatherers. I feel like they had no time to just sit around and think.
Well, they were just walking and thinking. And walking and thinking is actually better than sitting and thinking.
No. I don't even know if they thought about.
They were thinking.
I don't even know if they were thinking other than whatever they were doing in that moment. And I
Or
feel like
whatever
that
they're
might
gonna
be
eat
the
later.
ideal way to live, because they always had something to do. It's for us, food is just like this. For them, their whole life was about getting food. So since we get food like this, now that frees up so much time for us to think about things.
No, I feel like we can. It might have been the ideal way to live at the time, but not anymore.
What?
Because now civilization has become a thing. So I feel like we can't just leave all that behind and go. And just
No. I'm
come
saying
up
the
with
ideal way to think might be just think about. I don't even know if we need a time where we have. I don't know. I think you should.
You're saying you should always stay in the present moment.
Yeah.
No, I feel like you should dedicate a certain amount of time to thinking things.
Should you?
Because that's how creativity becomes a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like even those hunter gatherers, some of them were definitely thinking, because that's how they developed weapons, and all of that. And what about farming?
Yeah.
It happened. Some of them were definitely thinking, and now the rate of innovation has gone up, and you can argue that may be for a good or bad thing, but it definitely has. And you can use innovation for good things as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know Einstein, Tesla, me, and Steve Jobs were all these great people had something in common. And the thing that they had in common was that they walked a lot and they thought about
The
things.
self-glazing.
Yeah, that's good. All these great people had one thing in common, and that was that they were walking. They were walking and thinking a lot. All of Einstein's smart ideas came from a walk.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something you can
There's a.
take into consideration.
Yeah.
Just walk with no distractions at all.
I do that. I do
Yeah.
that. But
I feel like the times when you're doing that, those are the times you should think. And every other time than that.
are we really better off with our innovations?
What? Yeah, what about weapons? Yeah, we are.
What about our cars? Are we really better off with them?
Who knows? It's
Okay,
not like we
I
can go
won't
back
go
to a
down
time
the-
without
I won't-
cars. I
I
feel like
won't-
there's no point thinking like
I
that.
won't go down this path.
Because we were thinking about this in a podcast episode before, and you were telling me what Yoon Jae was saying, where he's like, it's actually way better.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just no point in thinking about that, because now we have cars. We can't go back to a time without cars.
Yeah.
We just have to think, well, what are we gonna do with these cars?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I feel like the purpose of the cars was made for a good reason. It was to minimize. It was time. It just saves time. Now you have all this time to do other things instead of just walking to a place or riding a horse to a place. You have so much time now. Just do something else. I feel like the problem comes with the fact that we're not doing anything else, but we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
New
Also,
perspective. I changed my opinion from last time.
I could argue against that, but I don't want to take it too far out there on this episode.
Okay, fine.
But I think one of the things, or something that does justify that time to think, is overstimulation. Because back then, how much were they getting stimulated? I'm talking about our ancient ancestors again.
Yeah.
But
I
how
mean,
much?
very rarely. Once in a year, they'd come across sugar.
Yeah,
That would be stimulation, and that's about it.
yeah. But
And now we literally eat chocolate every day.
now we have so much stimulation. I think you definitely need some time to sort out things in your head.
No, actually, I'm pretty sure they had little entertainment things. They were just dancing around a fire or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what all these Stone Age tribes do.
That's
these
if they
days.
got all their food for the day.
Yeah.
If they
Well,
accomplished
that
their
was
tasks,
entertainment. That was entertainment.
they
for them.
accomplished their tasks.
That was entertainment.
Yeah.
So they're simulated at least a little bit.
Yeah. 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 When they got time, they made things.
Yeah, and now we have so much
That's
more
how
time.
society progresses. You just get more time, and then you have
Yeah.
more time to make more things.
Yeah, but now we're taking all that time and we're spending it on Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the problem with innovation. The problem isn't the fact that we're saving time.
Yeah.
The problem is
how
now
we're using
since
the
we
time.
have more time,
Yeah.
we're not using it properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because imagine how great you'd be in 2 years if you swore off all social media and you just decided to use your free time towards something actually productive. Imagine where you would be.
Mhm.
And you can really imagine it. How, where do you live? What kind of clothes do you wear?
True.
What kind of food do you eat?
True.
It'd be a lot better than the alternative, that's for sure.
Yeah. My mom kind of does the same thing where she just, as your grandma, where she kind of just she kind of sits around and just, I don't know, she's just there thinking.
Stares at the ceiling.
Yeah. I don't know. What are they doing? Our elders.
I don't know, they're just thinking about things.
We never do that. It's definitely less prevalent. Are they just thinking about things?
Okay, let's take the life of my grandpa, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know 100% because he died way before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I don't know if he died way before I was born, but he died sometime. And then my other grandpa I never met, and he died when I was like 3 or 4. But
I thought one of your great grandpas is super old.
he's dead now. He lived.
But you met him.
He lived when I was a child.
But not your grandpa?
No,
Oh,
he died he died after his kid.
that's insane.
Yeah. But an average day in the life for him, it'd be wake up, go to the farm, take care of everything,
Mm-hmm.
farm all the. Okay, let's take my great grandpa because I actually know how he lived.
Yeah.
My great grandpa would wake up, he'd take the cows to the farm, and he had acres and acres of land, and he'd just farm it by himself, a single man farming acres and acres of land. And then in the middle, he'd go to those when the UV radiation or whatever, or when the sun got he didn't know about UV. When the
Yeah.
sun got too hot, he'd go and he'd sit in he made a little tent, or what are they called? It was like a half tent,
Yeah.
and he'd go and sit under for shade. And then he'd usually get food from people there. He'd go back home and get food from his wife.
Uh-huh.
And I've heard that he ate a lot of food,
Mm-hmm.
so he's a big eater.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd come back and he'd finish his work on the farms and he'd go home for the day. He'd go home and he'd talk to his friends, maybe go out for a smoke.
Yeah.
And then he'd come home, he'd talk to his wife for a little bit and then go to sleep, wake up, repeat the exact same thing.
Yeah.
All day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Yeah. So he always has something to do. But what about, okay, now, for example,
Let's say he had farm hands who did all the work for him.
no. I'm talking about your grandma. Does she make food for herself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then
She did for a long time, but I think these days she has a worker that comes up, and the worker doesn't make food by herself. They both make food together,
yeah.
and she makes food for herself and for she lives on the 3rd floor of an apartment, and my
Yeah.
mom's older sister lives on the 1st floor, so they
Mhm.
probably make food for both of them.
Yeah. So then when she doesn't have anything to do and she's just thinking, what is she thinking about? It's not like
I
she's.
don't know. That's a good question. I
She-
never. I'll ask. I can call her and ask her tonight.
Yeah.
But I never thought about that much.
Yeah.
I know the grandma on my dad's side is very religious, and I know that she's read all the books. Maybe she's thinking about that these days.
Yeah.
But my mom's side grandma, who just lies around and thinks about nothing, just sits with. There's a neighbor that lives on that other side of the apartment, and they just sit together and talk sometimes. And sometimes she just sits by herself. I mean, I was in India. I saw all this occur.
Mhm.
So maybe that.
Yeah.
Or she's thinking about her family.
Yeah. So maybe this is the progression. This is what I see as the progression of humans. First, our time was always filled, and we had no time to think. But as we innovated, more time opened up, and we innovated more and more and more until we reached a peak where our innovations became worse, and they freed up our time, but that time started being used for other things, and now we're on that downhill.
Yeah. You're saying social media in rough words. Because what else do we have that really did that?
I don't know. Even plays, you could argue.
Plays?
It's not like
Yeah,
we're-
but then before plays, we just danced around a fire.
that's true. We always had some kind of entertainment, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if plays and movies are that bad. So yeah, and it could be a good thing at times because then you could connect with your fellow people. What if you took your wife to Gone with the Wind or something back in 1937? I feel like that could be pretty good. And that was before movies had all. This is a completely different topic. That was before movies had all these political agendas and all. Back in the 60s with Citizen Kane, they're just chilling. And in Gone with the Wind, whenever he said "damn," he said the word "damn." That was the biggest controversy. That was one of the biggest controversies in filmmaking history. It was the first curse word to ever be uttered.
Cursing has gotten out of hand, bro.
Maybe.
It's just become so normalized.
I don't know.
No, I think very religious people don't curse as much.
No.
Yeah. But I'm talking about those people we considered base, like Joe Rogan or something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You know,
I don't
those kind of
consider
people
Joe
curse a
Rogan
lot.
based. I just think he's cool. Nice dude.
I don't know. I think a lot of people think he's based.
I don't know. People that I think is based. People like Khabib, maybe.
Yeah. Do you think Khabib curses?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
I remember I saw this one video where DC said the F word.
Uh-huh.
And Khabib was like, "Why you say that, brother?" And he just looked so disappointed.
Yeah, he's a religious guy.
Yeah. And then
Eid
Oh, wait, what
Mubarak
were we
to
talking
our
about?
Muslim listeners.
yeah. What were we talking about before right before we delved into cursing? I was talking about Gone with the Wind. Oh, entertainment. Are you talking about innovation? And you're saying after a certain point things just started getting bad. I wouldn't say plays. I'd say social media.
No, I don't even know if it got bad at a certain point or not, because you're saying we always had entertainment.
No, I feel like the reason social media is bad is because before everything was so private and now everything is so public.
True.
Someone like Drake would never have the same aura that Michael Jackson had because it was so rare to see Michael Jackson in public that whenever you do see him, people literally fainted when they saw Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
They're so excited.
True.
But now you know, and no one knew what he was up to. No one knew where he was going to
Yeah,
be and stuff.
yeah.
And then you see Drake in public, you're like, oh, it's Drake. I mean,
Yeah.
some people still
I'm in
get
the
really
news.
excited.
There was the paparazzi.
Yeah, but how rare is that compared to social media where the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
posted themselves?
Yeah,
They post
yeah,
5
yeah.
posts a day
Yeah.
talking about where they've been, and then other people start recording them, and they're like, "Oh, look,
Yeah.
this is where Drake is."
The
at
world is
moment."
so connected.
Yeah, it comes with good and
We should
bad.
become less connected.
It's good and bad. I feel like phones and stuff was the perfect.
I don't know if you're gonna.
But then
Assert
also
that.
social media can be a good thing because then you start making new connections with people that you don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also don't think that online connection is anywhere near face to face.
Sometimes the first time you'll meet a person is online, and then from there
Yeah,
onwards
you can progress.
You'll talk to them in person.
Yeah, but I don't know about the best. I don't know if that's the best thing because I'm not a huge fan of the online dating and all that.
Well, I mean, it's not online
I feel like it's
dating.
different. I feel like
that
it's
implies something
Oh,
different.
I know. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
just you.
They meet online and then they go in person.
Yeah, I think you would have never got that opportunity if you didn't have the internet.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know if I'm.
The circle of people,
I feel like
the circle of people that you could have known is way smaller,
yeah,
and the options you would have had.
yeah, that could be a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah. You
Depending
have
on the
more
person.
options, so now you're less content and you're looking for the best option.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
And also, things like that don't happen naturally because you're. Before it was like a friend of a friend
Mhm.
would be the next person that you meet,
Yeah.
but now it's just some random person.
Yeah. I mean, there's a safety issue.
Not even the safety issue. I just feel like it's less genuine.
What do you mean?
Maybe it's a personal opinion of mine.
Why is it less genuine? I think it's just, how does it make a difference?
I don't know. It feels like I'm less removed, you know, or sorry, not less, more removed than I would be otherwise.
Like, you want that person that you're dating to be in your circle?
Maybe. Or a way to meet them would be naturally instead of just looking at their dating their little profile.
Oh, like you guys need to have a good like
connection,
first,
like an
first-
actual connection.
first meeting.
Yeah, maybe. Or
You know?
maybe
Bro,
an actual.
This is so bad, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
What?
When my sister was watching this show, no, I can't do
Okay,
this.
fine. What?
All right, fine. I'll do it for the content. I'm not gonna name drop the show. She was watching this
It's The
show.
Bachelorette.
No, she was watching this show, and the girl was complaining to the dude that they didn't have a quote meet cute.
What?
And I'll explain the term. Apparently, the term is the first time you meet someone, it's supposed to be something nice, I guess, that you remember.
Yeah, first
later
impressions
on.
are pretty strong.
Yeah, that you remember later on. So then, 10 years down the timeline, when you're
The timeline.
when
When
you're
you're talking to your kids.
when you're talking to your kids,
They asked you
you'll
how'd
say,
you guys meet?
oh,
How'd
this
you
is
guys
how I
meet?
met the first time. So, and in that show, the girl wanted that, and she was complaining to the guy, oh, we never had that. I just met you, or
What shows is your sister watching?
I don't know, bro. Don't question it. But that's what that reminds me of. Your thinking.
Yeah, I don't know about the terminology.
The meet cute.
Yeah, but
Rishi Tarpreddy wants a meet cute.
no, I don't know if I agree with all that, but I think the way that you meet.
It's the manly way of saying it.
It should be a natural way. It should be a natural thing.
Rishi wants the masculine version of a meet cute.
Okay. All right, let's talk for like 5 more minutes and we can recommend.
Yeah, it's getting bad.
Yeah, exactly. Because you brought that meet cute thing up.
That's hilarious.
No, we're talking. Okay, we're talking about where things went bad. That's with social media, but it can also be a good thing as well.
I don't know if we can even assert where things bad. I was just thinking about.
All technological development is bad.
No. I was just thinking about.
We should start using lucid dreaming and build pyramids.
Yeah. Yeah, the key to reality transurfing. But no. The key to building the pyramids is lucid dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Said in reality transurfing. But the global elite drink your baby's blood.